call this meeting of the Public Safety,
We would have signed people up.
Criminal Justice, and Public Safety together. I'm filling in for Supervisor Montesi. First order of business, well, I'd like to welcome everybody. First order of business is to approve the minutes of the prior meeting. Supervisor Bramer, second by Supervisor Gerard. All those in favor? Oh, thank you. Okay, Under Sheriff Lomry, you have the floor.
Yes.
Morning. Under action agenda, we only have 3 items. We request a resolution to amend the county budget to reflect insurance coverage from 2 separate motor vehicle accidents. Both of our vehicles were involved in car gear accidents, and this reflects what we recovered from our insurance carrier, because we do have collision on the vehicles.
Okay, and item A, motion by Supervisor Gerard. Do we have a second? Supervisor Simpson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. B.
Item B is notice of intent to fill a vacant position of patrol sergeant due to retirement. Sergeant Ralph Bartlett, who's been with us in excess of 20 years. His last day on the payroll will be June 29th. He's going to retire, so we need to fill his position. And we also need to hire a new patrol officer to backfill the patrol officer that moves up to sergeant.
We have B and C. We have a motion by Supervisor Seaver, second by Supervisor Simpson on B and C. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay. No pending items. Topics for discussion.
Topics for discussion, we currently have 5 vacancies for correction officer, 2 vacancies for correction sergeant. As we discussed last month, we've been waiting for a civil service list of eligibles to begin the hiring process. I spoke with Trish Nenninger earlier this week, and she told us we should be getting a list shortly. There was a delay, but it was not due to anything Warren County did. I guess somebody filed an objection someplace else in the state, and that's what delayed the list for us.
Okay. And what was the other one?
Under topics for discussion, item B, body cameras. We've been performing testing and evaluations on numerous brands and models of body cameras for approximately the last 2.5 years. The technology is constantly changing. There's all different options out there. The financial cost, no matter how you look at doing this, is going to be rather large. I've got quotes from 3 of the largest camera providers, and this is a 5-year cost to have this camera system put in place. From Safariland, it's $181,000. From Axon Enterprise, formerly known as Taser, it's $271,000. And from WatchGuard Video, it's $215,000. Now, in addition to that cost, and again, this is only covers a 5-year period, we would need to hire a IT person, not a programmer. I'm not exactly sure what the title is, but we already have somebody of that title that works for Mike Colvin in our agency. I've spoken with Mike about it, and the reason you would need that person, the video footage, it's very man-hour intensive to maintain all that footage, to answer requests, to handle the redaction. And speaking with our partners and other agencies, they strongly advise getting that. Some agencies have multiple people that all they do is deal with the video that's recorded. So, in a nutshell, to hire another IT person for 5 years, depending on what health insurance package they took, it could be as much as $405,000, or it could be a little less than that if it was a single party. That is added on top of whatever the cost is from the provider. So I guess we're looking for some direction from the committee. We don't have the funds within our asset forfeiture account to even begin to undertake a project like this. And, you know, we've been looking at it, and we don't want to really put it off too much longer. Is this something the county wants to pay for? Where would you like to go with it?
Dan?
I'm not interested at this time. We have other communications responsibilities financially that we need to take care of before we get into anything like this. And
We do. Supervisor Bramer, do you have a comment?
Thanks.
Well, I'm going to go right down, so.
Okay, yeah, I'm right there.
Okay.
That's sure.
Supervisor Seaver?
I think that if we had endless pots of money, this would be a worthwhile endeavor, and I think it is important. I'm not I appreciate the work that you put into it and taking the initiative to look into it. I'm specific, and recognizing we have a ridiculous amount of commitments already out there as well, but is this, well, I guess my two questions are, is this something you think will be mandated in the future, and what is, and I'm glad you're here under Sheriff Lemery, but I'm also interested in hearing from Sheriff York on what the recommendation is statewide that you're hearing at your sheriff associations as well.
I haven't heard anything where they're going to mandate it. It's certainly something that down the road they could mandate. I mean, you know what's been happening nationally, but nobody from the Sheriff's Association, and I'm on the executive committee, has said that that's coming. The majority, I think, of police agencies across the country are going to that. A lot of them, if you recall, and I think, Kevin, you'll remember, about 3 or 4 years ago, when I asked Sean was looking into this,
Yep.
it was a knee-jerk reaction. Everybody was, all the police agencies were going with the cameras because of what was happening nationally with the police and the the fervor that was going on and what was happening with some of these police agencies. We felt that it was a good thing to go to if it was attainable, and I didn't knee-jerk react to it. I said, Sean, I'm not going to buy the first thing that's out there. We thought we could have afforded it with the seized asset forfeiture, but I wanted to do a study, and Sean has been methodically doing the study over the last 3 years, and watching the change from when they first came out to now, finding that they become very labor-intensive and very expensive. A lot of agencies that we heard that started with them can't afford it anymore. So I felt it appropriate that I told Sean, I said, when we go to committee this time, let's throw it out to the committee to see what they feel, because this is certainly not something that we can take from seized asset forfeiture. I don't think the federal government will want us to continue doing that, but it's something that if the county wants to go with it, they should make the decision at at this level. I think it's prudent to do it that way, and I'm hearing what everybody's saying. I agree it's very expensive, but I think we did it the right way here in Warren County. And
Right. There was also a lot of legal concerns that were
A lot of
coming
legal
out
concerns.
that we went to NISAC, and NISAC, they spoke to us about the legal concerns of jumping into this, and that was 2 years ago, so I think it's better.
I think the committee's making a wise choice, in my own opinion. We wanted to give it to you to hear what you have to say, because I think there's still going to be some more bugs to come out of it in the next few years. There may be coming some mandates down the road, but I think it's important that you knew what we were doing at our level to try to attain this.
Okay, Matt?
I think the sheriff touched on it. When it comes to the matter of the cameras, body cameras, it got a lot of exposure from the national level, from some multiple incidences. But in terms of where we are here in Warren County and what the need is, I'm not familiar with any instance where there has been a necessity for body cameras. And so I feel like until there is a need on the local level, I think our sheriff department, they run a pretty tight ship. And, if down the line, that's something we need to look at in terms because of a state mandate. That's one thing, but
Yeah.
I don't think we're there yet.
Sorry about that, they keep texting me. Matt?
I agree, everything that's been said.
Supervisor Brock?
I think we need to continue to pursue it. I think the standard is become body cameras, and I think the cost is obviously a big impediment, but I think even if we continue to study it, is it possible to have a couple of people wearing them and see how it works that way, or what are our options as far as that's concerned?
Part of our testing and evaluation is we actually have had patrol officers wear the cameras, so we
Right.
can see the differences in, how they capture it, the quality of the images. I don't see the pricing going down at this point in time.
Right.
I do know of agencies, you can Google it, read the articles that have got body cameras, and they found out that the data storage was so expensive, they were
Mhm.
forced with laying people off or getting rid of their camera programs.
Right. Well, I don't see how we're gonna get away from it. I can see the state at some point mandating it. But I also, where we're gonna get the money from, I don't know. I think we need to still keep our finger in it to some extent, keep our...
Well, I agree with that, and we are, Sean is on top of the electronic stuff, and we're going to follow what's happening, not just locally, but nationally with the body and
Supervisor Bramer?
I just wanted to follow up on what Supervisor McDonald said too about that we aren't having incidences in Warren County, which is great. So if we can stay on top of our training and make sure, officers are doing what they're supposed to be doing, being professional and treating people with respect while also responding to the threat in front of them, I think that body cameras for us aren't necessary at this time. And hopefully they wouldn't be for
Supervisor Sokol?
Thank you, Chairman. It would be my recommendation to take this off the pending. I just think it's a little new. I'm about 2.5 years new. You could just tell by the quotes that we received. One's $180,000, the other one's $270,000. Technology is still advancing. I think if we give it a year, still keep it in the back of our heads, but give it a year, I think you'll see things come down quite a bit, and also the technology will be that much better, I think.
Right. Anybody else wish to comment on this, or we'll take it off pending items? You all right with that, committee? Okay, we'll keep it, but I think Claudia's right. We need to keep our eye on, what we have, and if we have incidents, we need to find out what happened, and could this have helped us in these incidents. So I do know it is a hot topic amongst attorneys and what's going on out there. Are there any other discussion for the sheriffs?
There's one other item that Supervisor Bramer and Supervisor McDonald brought up, and I'll let the sheriff address it. There was a concern posed by the mayor about us patrolling the watershed properties, and I'll let the mayor...
Well, what's the
sheriff
question?
address
I
it.
want to hear the question.
As far as if there was an American weekend, if there was a bunch of kids partying up there, just wanted to see what the response was like.
And I sent those reports down to Mike Mender.
Mike Mender.
Mike Mender, yes. From what I understand, there was a bunch of kids having a bonfire on one of the uninstalled properties, and there was only one available officer who went. And I think, I don't know if you know, there was 20 kids there, and he spoke to them all. There was no alcohol. From what was written in his narrative, they all were cooperative and blew on the breathalyzer. There was no alcohol at all. Before he could finish that, he got called to another suicidal thing that he had to go to, and he was the only patrol because everybody was tied up with the barricade, so that was the result of that. Everybody dispersed before he left. So if that's the one you're talking about, that's what I read in what I sent down from there. And a few weeks back, I'd say a few months ago, it was requested through the mayor's office about one of the nominee complaints. We didn't really track it, but since then, we had Mike call and give us a program where we can track whenever we have any complaints on the property owned by Glen Falls, whether it's the watershed. So going forward, we should be able to track any complaints that we have on there. And anytime our ATVs, if we have enough manpower, we're going to send the ATVs out again. And they're supposed to document it so we can track it in case we get asked for any tracking. So we should be able to do that going forward.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Supervisor Bramer, any questions for the sheriff? The only other thing I'm going to add, some of our folks went to the Chiefs Show out in Syracuse this past weekend, and they did talk to the vendor on I Am Responding, and they were very impressed, and they learned a lot of good information on the program, and I think the program will be very helpful to everybody in Warren County. I think it's just getting people up to speed, because the program will do a lot more than just, it helps with your attendance and the way it's done. So kudos to the county for stepping up in the committee and going through and purchasing this program. I think it's really going to help the response. Yes?
I know I mentioned at another meeting we had, I can't remember, but Ron and Montesi, maybe it was Frankie up there, we talked about what the revenues are for EMS and what the output is. I got some of those numbers. I guess what I wanted to ask some of the town supervisors that are here, those numbers, the only ones that we could get is what we could find online. But I think each agency, whether it be the three in Queensbury or the one in Warrensburg or the one in Johnsburg, Missouri, wherever it is, I can see the numbers as far as what each town gives to EMS. Okay, so in other words, what it's costing the taxpayer. I can only see the estimated revenues that it is generating from those areas. My question to Mickey was, well, how come we don't know what the numbers are? We don't have access to those numbers. And I think if you wanted to get an accurate number, and they change yearly, they would change yearly depending on the number of calls. But I think if each town asked each EMS service, all right, how much in 2016 did you get from revenue?
Revenues, yeah.
And I don't know how they account for
It depends on what it is, Sheriff. Town of Queensbury, Town of Luzerne, I believe they show the revenues in their budgets, and I'm sure City of Glens Falls does. We don't. All we show in our budget, town budget, is how much we avail the squad, how much we give the squad. We give them 60, and they give the squad 50, but you don't see the revenues. I'd have to go to our squad captain, operations people, and get that number. I can get that number for you.
That number is
that what you want?
No, I got that estimated at $285,000. So, and for your town, you're giving the EMS $60,000, County is giving $60,000, so you're giving $110,000 to the EMS. What I don't know is that all they have for working capital for that year is $110,000?
No, they get their revenue. They collect their revenue.
So they keep their revenue.
That's correct.
Well, they got $285,000 in revenue, so that's a big difference.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is, if we as a county, if we were going to manage this,
yes,
if we looked at the actual revenues that are coming in from all these agencies, it might be smarter, and I don't know that yet, but it might be smarter for the county to control it so it's managed better. Because in your town, they're making $285,000, and you're paying them $110,000. So they got that's $395,000 that they have for their their appropriation. So I don't know how it works in every town, but I know in Queensbury they got over $1 million in revenue just for Queensbury. So
right.
I think on the county level, the revenues outweigh the taxpayer expenditures from what I can see to this point.
In a lot of cases, yes.
So I don't know whether that helps you guys try to make a decision, but if the revenues are way above what the cost is, and we know that we've got more ambulances in the county than what we need or what we can staff, it's something to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely. Supervisor Conway?
Yeah,
Jeremy?
Sheriff, in Bolton, we get a year-end report, and so...
I got the numbers for Bolton, too.
And it would show all revenue broken down for the rest of the squad. Another thing in Bolton is to keep in mind is that the fire district houses them in their facility as not a cash contribution, but it's a type of support contribution. So it's a freestanding situation. It wouldn't be great to be.
No, and I understand some towns like, is Edna here? Edna's here. I know in Edna's town, and correct me if I'm wrong, their layout to EMS is about $118,000. That's what I saw on the page. But they get nothing back from revenue. So that's a wash. That's a service that they give to their people. They don't.
Well, they don't bill for service.
They don't bill. Is that accurate? Right. And I think there's another town, Stony Creek, does that as well. It's a cost to their people as a service that they don't bill. So, I don't know, is it right to bill, is it not to bill? I would think...
Insurance companies pays, it's not like the individuals
So
pay.
it's probably smart to bill.
You would think.
Okay, well, that's
But we
initially
can't
what I
bill
found
because
out.
we're combined.
With-
You know what I'm saying? We don't...
Yeah, I know you can't until you separate the emergency squad.
Right, you're in the
from-
fire, this is the fire department, though, right?
There's certain state laws.
It's the fire department.
I thought they changed that, but maybe not.
No, they're still working on it according to that.
So, but when I get those final numbers, I'll give them to Frank, and you guys can decide what you want to do.
Supervisor Seaver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sheriff, I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to meet with you as an elected official during our performance evaluation. You spent about an hour with our evaluation team, and out of that meeting, we learned a lot of very significant information. Both your emails, you had inquired if it was sent out to the board, both you had responded almost immediately with information about our crime stats in Warren County, and also with raised age and how that will affect our finances and services moving forward, from the DA to probation to the sheriff to our county budget. And that information has been shared with all of the board members, and again, really appreciated that time to get to talk about issues that are relevant, that we don't always get to sit down and have that dedicated time. So thank you for doing that and leading by example.
Anything else for the sheriffs, or we'll move on? Yes, Frank.
Where are we at with hiring a consultant for the towers?
We have been going back and forth with the purchasing department with the RFP, and I think it's finally, as of the other day, I saw another one bounce back to us with changes, so it should be going out shortly.
Okay, Supervisor Bramer?
Thanks. I just wanted to make an announcement in this committee that we are having the meeting on Thursday morning regarding the responsible voting initiative that I am working on with the sheriff and also the acting district attorney's office. So you guys are all invited. We are having a pretty mixed group of people that will be there to discuss this idea and get some feedback from them, and hopefully roll something out soon in collaboration with the Lake George Park Commission, which is doing their enforcement weekend, the weekend right before July 4th.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And
Sure.
I'll bring up that Claudia reminded me of, but just to let you know that we, along with that, we are, we have a Marine Patrol.
Right.
We're going to also work in concert with the Lake George Park Commission. We're going to put one of our part-time officers with one of their full-time officers, and they're going to do a night patrol to look more for anybody driving under the influence. So it's going to, we're still discussing how that's going to be, but they're going to be out there in the nighttime, do that, working together.
Okay, good. Anybody else for the sheriff or the undersheriff? All right, we'll move on to next. Jason, welcome.
Thank you.
You step in some big shoes there.
He does,
I've actually brought some people with me.
Yes, and does everybody know Jason Carasone?
So,
New acting district attorney. Is it acting, or you are the district attorney?
acting is the title, yeah, so.
Okay, well, I'm acting too, so
Right.
I'm a heck of an actor.
So I brought up Matt Buren and Paulette Hayes, one, just to be exposed to this, and I'm explaining what's going on, and two, Matt's the subject, or a big subject, of what I'm going to be seeking today. I'm sure everyone's aware of the good news, which is good for Kate and for the state, and it's a big loss for the county, and that Kate Hogan has been nominated by the governor, and yesterday evening or afternoon became a Court of Claims judge. So that happened very rapidly. It was kind of shockingly fast-paced at the end, and we're scrambling a little bit, but if we understand it, operation of law, that does make me the, as first assistant, the acting DA until one of two things happens. One, well, more than two things could happen. One, the governor does have the power to make an appointment. From what I'm hearing, that doesn't happen, especially in this being an election year, but it could happen. And that could be anyone, including myself. I could get hit by a bus, Kate's famous line, and then I would no longer be the acting DA. That's part of why I'm here. And obviously there's an election coming up, so that, as I understand it, the acting term ends
at midnight December 31st of this year. With that being said, the reason that I'm acting is because there's a line of succession that had been filed, I think back in 2005 or 6, as the first ADA, naming me next in line should something happen. I'm looking, well, Kate's slot is, I think by operational law, being filled by me, but I think we do need to go through that process. And so Paulette passed around some resolutions, 2 resolutions. Kate's position is technically vacant from your perspective, so this is one notice of intent to fill that vacancy with myself. And then to maintain a chain of succession, my hope is to fill Matt Buren into the first ADA position.
Okay. So the first resolution would be to appoint Jason as the acting district attorney at a salary of $183,400, which is set by state law.
That's set by state law, that's not my idea.
No. Motion by Supervisor Gerard, second by Supervisor Bramer. Any discussion? Yes, Supervisor Seed.
It's reimbursable by 100% from the state, correct?
That's my understanding, yes, the same as what has been for the DAs.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
So I'm looking for...
Or is it no? Sure.
It's not 100%.
Oh, it's not 100%?
Unless they pass it before the end of the session, and there's some of the last 2 raises the county makes
Oh,
last year. or
okay.
something.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
So we just have to figure out the formula, but it's mandated by the state what the salary is, so
That's correct.
reimbursed or not, it's still what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
So, now, Matt Buren, if I could just talk a little bit about him and then
Sure.
explain what we're looking to do. Matt, you've probably seen his name in the paper lately because of the murder trial. He just did the Henry murder trial out of Glens Falls. Henry Chapman got a conviction and I guess a life sentence in numerous ways. Persistent felon, persistent violent felon, and good old murderer, life sentence. Matt's been with the office 12 years. He can do anything that you want from a prosecutor, and he has been doing it for that time. I am hoping that he's going to be my first, at least as long as I'm able to serve, and hopefully that's for a good long time. In order to do that, I have made a slight adjustment. It's a lower number than what I was receiving. I had more years of service than he did, and so I wanted to make some adjustment. My hope is, I want to just give everyone a sort of a picture of what I'm seeing possibly happening. With the DA, Kate Hogan, moving on, she's got some talent that she may want to pull with her. So we may see some upcoming vacancies on the staff side, on the attorney side. That will be spoken to when and if it happens. So I'm not looking to, and because it's all happening so fast, there's going to be a slot open underneath Matt. I'm just hoping to keep that slot and have the ability to fill as needed. We're certainly, I mean, we're going to need it. We're scrambling as it is, just with bodies. But I don't have any, I haven't interviewed anyone, you know, obviously nothing's in place at this time. So my hope is that we could get Matt moved up at this point, put him in the chain of succession, and move forward from there.
Yeah, so what we're asking for today would be a motion to appoint Matt Buren as first assistant district attorney at a salary of $93,000 and amend the table of organizations and salary schedule to reflect reductions in 93 from 99 to 70. So we have a motion by Supervisor Bramer, second by Supervisor McDonald. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Welcome everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've got
Good
to
luck,
to work.
and you know, whatever we need to do, and I'm sure we'll work through this paperwork process as we go along. Don't get too excited about it, because it does take a long time.
Okay, yeah, I don't, just so everyone knows, as you know, I'm somewhat new to this side
Oh,
of
yeah.
things, so bear with me. There'll be some mistakes made, I'm sure, but we'll try to get it right.
Yeah, and welcome Matt. Supervisor Brown.
You're short now, right? Now, obviously.
Yes.
What are you going to do during the interim period? Well, do you have someone, I mean, how are you, if you're short-handed, are you...
So let me address it. As I said, this is happening rapidly.
Right, I know
So
that.
what I would like to do is take a look at who we have and if we're going to lose any other attorneys and other staff.
Right, I know.
And at that point, it would give me the opportunity to, I may be able to fill with some experience into one of those slots. I may be able to move someone up. I mentioned that trial, Travis Brown assisted Matt Buren, and Travis Brown, I think, has just in the last 9 months done 3 felony prosecutions, all with convictions, not easy cases. He just had a conviction last Friday. He's doing great. He's been with the office 5 years. I certainly am hopeful that I'm going to be able to have some movement there, but not knowing what options are out there for attorneys to come in, I want to just at least have a chance to interview some people and see what's out there. And I'm, as you know, Matt's taking 93. I'm hopeful maybe that money might be available if I needed to shift things around a little bit. So I'm going.
My main concern is it's not like, you know, you have a lawn that needs to be cut and you put out a help wanted. I mean, what? Where do you get the talent? I mean, how do you fill so many spots quickly, or however you're...
Right now it's 1 spot. Okay?
Right, yeah.
And I guess technically the change is Kate is gone.
Right.
Which is, you know, it's only 25 years experience, so no problem. Let's just get another Kate and we're all set. But there's a lot of talent around. Even just from me leaving the office last night and going home, I got a phone call from another prosecutor who said, look, we interviewed a bunch of people that are really highly qualified out in our county, and I'd like to send some of them your way and see if they'd be interested.
Okay. Yep.
So that process is all just
okay,
getting started.
you basically answered my question. Yeah.
Totally.
Okay. Good. Thanks.
Supervisor Seaver.
District Attorney Harrison. I just wanted to say how much I appreciate the fact that you recognize the difference in salaries. I am sure First Assistant Buren is worth every single penny, but for you to come in, recognize the difference in the years of experience, something we struggle with every time we're filling vacancies, and it's nice to be able to see that appreciation of how difficult that can be, especially in a tight budget. So we appreciate that.
Great. I want to say this. So years of service obviously means something because that experience, you just see people grow over time. I was talking to Matt today. We were going to an opioid meeting on trying to deal with that issue. And I said, you know, I think I've been here 6 years when I became the first assistant. Like, can you believe that happened? So I'm going to be putting demands on some of these people that may not even match their years, but I'm just going to have to. So I'm going to try to factor that in as well. If I'm really going to be, you know, putting on a lot of work onto someone that has 5 years but's got that capability, I'm hoping I can adjust the salary to fit that as well.
Anybody else? Well, again, I want to welcome you all and wish you luck, and I'm sure you'll continue on the true tradition of the DA's office here in Warren County, so
We're going to
thank you. That being said, a motion to adjourn? Carried. Okay, thank you.
Business will slow down.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something?